Dude, where is our guest?
You texted them?
No. Libby, you were supposed to text them.
Oh, I thought you were texting them.
No. Oh, God, Libby, what are we going to do?
We have
to still do it. We're here.
Yeah. We just got to make it work.
Oh, okay. Well, guess you guys are stuck with us today. Chris, hit the music. What's up, guys? We are back. I'm sure you missed hearing more from us, although our lovely guests have been so fun.
We've had some really great guests on. It's been so awesome listening to them talk.
And it's cool, especially because Libby and I are in kind of the similar field, and so like hearing from these other guests who are in such different environments with their work, it's so awesome to get that insight.
I know, I feel like I'm learning so much.
Right? And in keeping with that theme of our Gen Z little professionals, we wanted to talk to you guys today about some different Gen Z issues that we love, that we hate, that are kind of plaguing us a little bit. So, we want to kick it off like a little bit more serious and talk about something that pretty much all of us deal with, Gen Z or otherwise, which is mental health.
It's important.
It's very important. It's very important. We all strive to have good mental health practices, both personally and professionally. And I think with Gen Zers in particular, like we as a generation have taken more of a priority on mental health.
I was going to say, I feel like the conversation now more than ever is way more accepting about mental health and just way more resources out there.
Right. I think we give each other a lot of slack too.
Yeah, but I don't know if it's still the same for like some of our older coworkers.
Right.
It's
in the
different.
Workplace, it's really hard to navigate, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
And so for us, I mean, we both work at an office where it's good for us. Like, we can take mental health days. If we have doctor's appointments, we're able to leave in the middle of the day. Like, it's not like we are practicing brain surgery. We are in the journalism world. So, if I upload a story an hour later than necessary, it's not like somebody's going to freak out about it. So that's really nice. But at the same time, we do recognize that a lot of people who are working with, older bosses or older coworkers might not get that same type of slack.
Right. Yeah, I had an experience at my last job where I was having a really rough mental health day. Like, I'll be honest, it was tough. I didn't think I was in the position to come in. And so I said, hey, like, I'm really sorry. I don't want to let you guys down, but I just need to take a mental health day today. Right. Like, it's just not happening.
Normal.
Yeah. And their response, it was so funny. It cracked me up. It was like, we're so happy to give you mental health days. That's really important to us. But just please schedule them in advance. And I was like,
You're like, hey, yeah, Bestie, let me schedule my next 3 panic attacks. Thank you. Like,
right. It's like, I'm feeling depressed on this day, like
literally
manic on this day.
Because it's not like you're literally just saying like, oh, I'm looking for a little like vacation from thinking. It's like, hey, I am actually in the deep end. Like, I'm struggling right now.
Like, on the phone with my therapist, like this, like, I have to deal with this.
Scheduling the emergency session as we speak. Like, it's like, hey, maybe cut me a little bit of slack there.
And I feel like that's still the norm for some people, but I think at least for me and you, we're kind of switching that up, how we apply it to like our interns.
For sure. Like, we're lucky because, it's not that long ago that Libby and I were in the position of the interns that we get at the City Paper.
Right.
And I'm in charge of our intern program there. And so it's really important to me and to Libby and the people who are working with the interns most closely to make sure that we are respecting their mental health.
Yeah.
Especially, like, think of all the different internships. I mean, a lot of internships have a lot of perks, but then there's internships that are unpaid. And it's like, if you're not going to, like, respect the fact that this person is not only not getting paid, but also like
essentially volunteering
struggling.
Their time to
right,
you.
exactly.
And it's like, if they're going through other stuff, it's like, hey, let's be a little respectful.
Let's take a step back and find the plot for a moment. We are all human beings who need to cut each other some slack. So we've tried really hard to kind of impart that to our interns in terms of, if my interns come to me and they're like, hey, I'm struggling. Like, I literally had a situation just recently where one of my interns was like, my parents are out of town and I need to babysit my little brothers. Is it okay if I work from home? And I'm like, of course, that's not necessarily a mental health thing, but it's still like cutting somebody's slack. Life happens.
Yeah. She
needs to step in and be a caretaker for her little siblings. And that is how that has to be. Yeah. Like, everyone has things going on outside of their 9 to 5.
Mm-hmm. And I think, at least for me, I feel like if you give people that kind of slack to like take care of their life, they'll be more productive.
Absolutely.
At work, so.
I mean, I find that I connect more to my work, to my coworkers, to my bosses when they do view me as a whole person and not just part of a machine of work.
Definitely.
And I think
agree.
sometimes, you know, in the generations before us where it was so ingrained to pedal to the metal all the time. I mean, have that, like, if you're not working hard, then you're not really worth the place in society, essentially. It's nice that now our generation is taking a step back and saying, whoa, like, it's great to work hard. You need to have this job. You need to be bettering yourself, etc. But bettering yourself is not just your professional self. It's your personal self as
and
well.
it's like taking care of yourself mentally does not mean you're not a hard worker.
Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
kind of the sum of it all.
And two, I think about all of these, I mean, thinking about my interns, I think about all of these college students who we were just like them, graduating and going into the world and having this crazy transition period in front of us. And it's like, what are we supposed to do?
Right.
How, I mean, it's so stupid actually, but the Taylor Swift lyric where she's like, how can a person know everything at 18 and nothing at 22?
Yeah.
Crazy accurate. Like when I was 18 and graduating high school, I was like, yep, I have my college figured out. Like I know what I'm majoring in. I'm doing blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I have it all figured out. And then it's like the second I graduated college, I was like, oh no,
what now?
Wait.
Right. Yeah.
Like actually, I don't know.
I know nothing about the world.
Real.
And now figure out what you're doing for your rest of the time in it. So.
And I think people can prepare you verbally as much as they want, but until you're physically ingrained in it, until you're like in the middle and learning these lessons firsthand, you don't really get it.
And honestly, I feel like all of our guests so far have touched on that exact experience in one way or another.
Exactly.
So I know it's super relatable.
Right. Like you can be so mentally ready to take on, even if you're knowing what career you want to enter into or what field you're trying to be in. You can be prepared for that, but you might not be prepared for the things like living on your own or navigating even living with a roommate and trying to split up those things. Like maybe you did it in college or maybe you didn't go to college and now you're moving out of your parents' house for the first time and it's like, what am I supposed to do?
Or even something as simple as making friends as an adult. It's so hard if you're not in school or like in a workplace where...
Dude, speak on it. Because literally no one talks about how difficult it is sometimes to make friends as an adult.
Yeah, and it's hard to want to put yourself out there in positions to be able to make friends when you feel like you don't have someone you can go to those places with or like I mean, social anxiety is real.
I mean, I think about it like this, like you and I are lucky because we have some really close friends from high school that we still keep in contact with. But I think about how if we hadn't have met each other at work, and I mean, and Gabby too, we had Gabby on the podcast. She's one of our coworker besties, but it's like, if we hadn't met each other at work, how would we be making friends? Like, what would we be doing?
Or even like networking. Like for me, it's really difficult to network and put yourself in networking spaces without having the support of someone there
having
with
a buddy.
you. Yeah, you need a buddy.
The anxiety of going to one of those professional experiences or networking opportunities by yourself is so wild.
But it's like, you need to do it to have a buddy to go to things with, but it's like, I don't know.
We're lucky because we, being in a journalism space, we kind of know what's going on at all times. So we can know when the events are happening. Yeah. But still, even when we know, we don't necessarily have the strength or courage to just go by ourselves.
It's always easier to just not.
Yeah.
But it's like...
It's nice to have each other when we do that, for sure.
And you feel better after you do it.
Oh, definitely. But yeah, I mean, you can join, like, I'm also lucky because I do theater outside of my 9 to 5. Yeah. So it's like I can meet people who are playing in the pit or who are acting with me or who are the directors and the choreographers or whatever. But, without that, that's really, other than you, like my main friend group. So
yeah. Or if you go to college out of state, it's like that's a whole new start.
But people really underestimate the whole, you have this support system in high school with your friends because you are seeing each other every day. You have a support system in college through your clubs or your classes or your roommate or whatever. Yep. But then the second you leave college, it's like if your college friends don't stay in the same place or move to the same place with you, you just really have to start from the ground up with your relationships.
Or if you don't go to college, it's the same type of thing.
Exactly.
So
yeah, it's definitely something that I think people take for granted. But, we appreciate hearing the insight from all of our guests talking about their own transition periods because I think it's helped us to navigate our own.
Definitely. And it's like for anyone out there maybe going through that, it's like you're definitely not alone in that feeling.
Right.
And if everyone around you seems like they have it all figured out, they don't.
Yeah, that's true. I was going to say the other thing about mental health is the imposter syndrome of being young and in a professional environment.
Yeah.
I was just talking about this recently with one of my little professional besties that I met through various networking opportunities. But it's like she is a CEO of a company and she's 23.
Oh,
and so
wow.
it's like, how in the world are you going to actually be in that position at such a young age and not feel the imposter syndrome?
Yeah, I
everybody
understand that.
does.
Right. But then to be like running your own thing.
Right.
It's impressive.
It's really impressive. And I mean, for us, even, we have such big positions at Adam Street that it's really difficult for us sometimes to not take a step back and be like, we're just girls. Like, you know what I mean?
And then I think when you start feeling like that and like kind of start putting that on yourself, it makes it all the more easier for maybe someone who is kind of like looking down on you
For
to
sure.
take that and run with it.
Exactly.
Which is, just
Well,
not what you need.
And I can't overstate how much I appreciate the external validation I get from either young professionals or otherwise, other people telling me, I think you're doing a really great job. Or I think those types of compliments really go a long way with me. Obviously, you shouldn't rely on outside validation to, make up your entire confidence. But
everyone
still,
needs to hear that they're doing a good job
right.
sometimes.
And if y'all listening have not heard it lately, you're doing a great job.
A great job. And we're proud of you.
Imposter syndrome is real, but you're realer. So let's be so honest about it. But, the other big thing that we have kind of found intersects with mental health is social media. And that for us in our generation, I think has really come into play with social justice issues.
Yeah, I think it's changing the way. Like it
really is.
It's paving a new path.
We grow up reading all of these history books in class about all of these people who pioneered all of these different activist efforts, be it women's rights or, the Black community in the area and all of that stuff. Like those types of social justice activism has been incredible throughout our history.
Definitely.
But our generation, I think, is changing that landscape with our social media usage.
Yeah, it's so easy to get information spread around faster than ever before.
Right, absolutely.
Which is definitely a blessing, but can also maybe be a curse.
Yeah. I mean, it's to the point now where, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, whatever it is, you can't really scroll through any platform for a fun time without coming upon any sort of social justice activism.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important to have that on those platforms because there are a lot of people who don't have a space otherwise.
Yeah.
Maybe some influencers want to speak out about their feelings and want to post GoFundMes or post about how people need help or raise awareness for a situation, but they might not have access to a local paper or to a national organization.
Or even like non-influencers.
Yeah.
Something big happens to them. It's easy for them to have a voice.
Yeah.
And share that, which is great.
Because literally in this landscape, you don't have to have 1 million followers. You can go viral with like 5 followers. It just has to be the right content, the right viewership. The message has to be right.
Yeah.
And with that, I think we both talk a lot about kind of like the information versus misinformation.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's really easy for great information to spread around, but it's also easy for misinformation to spread around, which makes it dangerous.
Yeah. I mean, especially like, stupid rumors about celebrities start all the time on those apps. And it's like, okay, we might eat it up, but we're going to check out the sources first. But when it comes to really serious topics like, fighting in third world countries or women's justice issues or different things like that, it can be really dangerous for people to get the wrong information.
Definitely. And with like the increase of AI, it's like really getting harder to tell maybe what's real or what's not. And especially people who maybe don't have the like kind of internet literacy that
please everyone PSA be media literate. I beg. I mean, that really, to me, media literacy starts with citing your sources. Like and especially like you were saying, in the age of AI, it's hard to even tell who you can trust anymore in terms of sources. But I think a lot of platforms do a great job, give them credit on this, that they do a great job of noting when they recognize AI and saying like this could be AI or this has been proven as an AI thing or like like this has been proven as misinformation. I
Which
know
is
TikTok
great.
a lot
Yeah.
does that. Like, and they'll have a little PSA that's like, check your source before
Yeah.
you just believe this.
I know Instagram and X do that as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, that part of it is good for sure. But I mean, it just really starts with vetting your sources. Like, and that's why I think as Gen Zers, it's not like you have to go and read every single story that NPR or any of the like big publications that are nationally based are posting, but it's like, you should be a little bit more aware. Like, check out even the headlines, man. Like, Apple News, if y'all have iPhones, does a great job of being like, here's this going on, or here's this, or blah, blah, blah. Or, you know, sharing other outlets that are posting, you know, credible sources and things like that. So making sure that you are taking the time to actually do the research is so key.
And also educate your parents.
Okay, let's talk about it, actually. Because I think, I mean, your parents do a lot for you. They teach you a lot. But I think that you, as a Gen Zer listening, might underestimate the effect that you can have on teaching your parents a thing or two.
Yes, definitely let them know because they don't know. And that's okay.
Right. I mean, I think for me at least, like in 2020 was the biggest eye-opening experience of this because my parents, my mom's a journalist, so she firsthand knows, check your sources.
Sure.
My mom is a brilliant woman. My dad is also very, very, very smart.
The intelligence is not the issue.
Yeah, no, it's not the issue. To me, what's so interesting is they kind of saw me as like the teachable figure for them. Then in 2020 with the, you know, George Floyd and Black Lives Matter and with COVID and all that stuff going on, it became so eye-opening to me that they then are looking at me as an equal and saying, let's have a discussion. Let's have a conversation. If you're doing your research, Riley, like we will talk to you about it. And it was so wonderful and validating for me to then have a seat at that table of, you know, maybe I know something about the Black Lives Matter movement that my dad might not know.
Yeah.
And watching him get so educated during this time, like he was reading every news article. He was reading books about the movement. Like he was doing all sorts of stuff. It was so inspiring. So, I mean, don't underestimate people listening. Don't underestimate that you can teach your parents a thing or two, and you can also be learning and helping them expand their minds and grow too.
Definitely. And just, you know, maybe it's with social movements or maybe it's just like navigating the platforms.
Oh, yeah.
And like learning, you know, this picture is AI generated.
Right.
Like, let's learn the key signs to spot that.
Right, exactly.
I feel like that...
what to click on and what not to click on.
Right, I know. Oh my gosh, my grandma, she's so deep into like the sweepstakes and
oh no,
they all go to my mom's phone and it's like, okay, let's talk about this.
My dad will come to me and be like, why is this person from my college like years ago messaging me on Facebook and asking about like a giveaway? And I'm like, Dad, that's a scam. Let's take a step back.
Yeah, I think that's kind of our responsibility as Gen Z to educate the older adults in our life.
I mean, dude, like,
make sure they're good.
I know Gen Alpha is more known for this, but Gen Z, we're also low-key iPad babies.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we grew up with that technology. We were kind of the best of both worlds of we were outside playing and having all of those, like, you know, fundamental experiences. But at the same time, technology was alive and well when we were growing up and developing our own skills. And so I remember being like 9 years old and teaching my mom how to make a PowerPoint.
Right.
So it's like, you know, we have the power to kind of have a seat at that table with our parents in terms of education.
Definitely. And I think it's really important.
It is really important. You know what else I think is important?
What?
All of our frickin' pet peeves. So obviously there's a lot of serious issues with Gen Z.
Yeah,
and the things
let's
that we
lighten it
can
up.
do, but let's lighten it up. We have a couple of non-serious issues that we would like to discuss with all of you. Parents, children, any listener, please hear me when I say these are some pet peeves that Gen Zers have with everyone that we would love for you to just take a little bit into consideration.
Yeah, just hear us out.
Right, hear us out. So let's kick it off. If you are listening to any audio, music, movie, if you're on the phone,
a phone call, yeah.
A phone call,
FaceTime.
If you have something playing off your phone and you have it on speaker and you're in public, do not do that. Please, I am begging you, invest in headphones. They're so cheap, dude.
if you don't have headphones, like, put it on one volume.
Put
not
it on one.
all
Put it
the
up to
way
your
up.
ear. Like, listen to it at your ear.
Step outside.
Don't be putting that on max volume to where everybody on your train, on your bus, in your restaurant, coffee shop is inconvenienced by your phone call
so
with your
distracting.
girlfriend where you're like, what are we going to eat for dinner? It's like, okay, enough. I don't need to know your life. You keep that to yourself.
No, exactly. It's so infuriating. I don't know why.
Real.
It just is. It's so bothersome.
It's
And
so
I
bothersome.
can't think about anything else besides what you and your girlfriend are eating for dinner. So
And it's
enough.
like, I'm sorry, like I have ADHD. I'll be the first to admit I get distracted so easily. And if you are in public doing that and I'm trying to do something else, especially when I'm like working at a coffee shop, I'm like, shut up, please. I'm begging you. So, you know, that's number one. Please, PSA, take your phone off speaker. Number two.
Number 2. And I think everyone will know.
Everyone will know.
Everyone will know exactly what
Might
I
be a
mean.
little
I don't even have to
controversial.
explain it. But millennials and Gen X trying to write Gen Z characters in shows and movies.
Okay, listen, hear me out. Chris, don't look so upset yet. Okay, hear me out. Gen Xers and millennials, I love y'all. I really do.
Love you so much.
Bottom of my heart. Y'all have created
No
some
hate.
incredible media. Let's be so real.
Yes.
At the same time, in the ever-changing landscape of media, there are a lot of shows that really try to attract a Gen Z audience by having these really like relatable Gen Z protagonists or just collection of characters as a whole.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, but we can tell when you're
can
not
always
Gen
tell.
Z.
We can always tell.
I'm not saying you can't work on the show. I'm not saying you can't even write the show. I'm saying maybe just be informed by true Gen Z
Yeah.
experiences first.
Spend time with a Gen Zer.
Yeah.
And
Understand
get their opinion.
the slang. Understand. You know, I had to shout out Toledo native Eric Kripke because I'm obsessed with The Boys on Prime Video. It's like my literal favorite show at the moment. And I'll tell you what, I started the spinoff Gen V. And in preparation, obviously, for the season that came out in June for the new season of The Boys, I had started Gen V because, you know, I was like, I just really want to be up to date, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, of course.
Within the first episode, I was like, a millennial wrote this. I was sitting with Katie. Shout out Katie. She was our first guest on the pod.
Hi,
I was
Katie.
sitting with what's up, Katie? I was sitting with Katie watching Gen V, and we both were like, a Gen Zer would literally never say this ever in
You
real
can always
life.
tell. Like,
You can always tell. I mean, it's something as simple like, you know, they were talking about getting followers through like content going viral or whatever. And
Yeah.
the girl says, you could have gotten 1 million followers. Okay, no Gen Z are saying
Right.
that. They're either going to be like, you could go viral, you should try to be monetized, get a sponsorship.
Right.
Like, I'm sorry, like actually
Get
learn
that
the
bag, get the
terminology. Get the
coin.
bag, get the
Yeah.
coin. Like, get those views, babe. Like,
Yeah.
learn the terminology.
right.
Learn it.
It's like, I feel like they just go off the buzzwords and then just like
Right.
pack it full, and it's like,
Yup.
it's not working on us.
Dude,
but
and
really
that's-
good try.
I mean, that's a whole conversation for a different podcast too, is the overusage of buzzwords. That's one of my, if I had to be derogatory toward my own generation, I'm like, please give the buzzwords a rest. I beg.
Yeah, fair.
But that's just our little mini pet peeve. So pet peeve number 2, millennials and Gen Xers, please have a simple conversation with a Gen Zer before you try to write their character. Thank you. Anyway, moving on.
Number 3.
Number 3.
Speaking of slang.
Speaking of slang, Gen Alpha, I love y'all. You scare me a little, but I love y'all. I'll be so real with you though. Like, you know, I literally just said it. We use slang all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. You hear it in every episode. We say slay. We say babe. We say I'll be so real. We
Yeah.
say, oh, Chris, what's your favorite? Deep on Maine. That's Chris's deep. He loves to get deep on Maine. But Gen Alpha, your slang is dumb. I'm going to say it. Controversial,
Call it out.
sorry.
Call it out.
I'm going to call it out. Your slang is dumb. Your slang is not even real words. If I hear one more teenager say skibbity toilet,
Right.
I'm going to freak out. I'm going to freak. Yeah, Chris is losing his mind too.
And plus, it's making me feel old, and I am not old.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm sorry. Your little gibberish is not appropriate for me. Like, and I'm not even sitting here from like the boomer perspective to the Gen Zers where they're like, you know, we had to even create the phrase "okay boomer" because they were so judgmental about all
Oh
the
my
Gen
God.
Zer
One
stuff.
day it's gonna be like, okay, Gen Z.
No, I know, and it's like, oh, I can't, because
Yeah.
we're so normal. I feel,
Oh,
but we're okay. We're not. I'll be self-aware. We're not normal. However, skibbity toilet, I
Yeah.
can't hear it again. Phantom tax. If I hear it one more time, I'm coming for y'all. Like, I
Right.
can't do it. So,
Like, I know you guys were the iPod babies.
Right.
The true iPod babies.
But we as Gen Zers, we're not that far removed from you. Like my niece, she's about to turn 16. She's a cusper. She's like right on the cusp of Gen Z and Gen Alpha. And I'm like, even she looks at some of the stuff I say and she's like, oh, okay, well, that's outdated. And I'm like, everything is moving so fast. We're on the
Right.
same platforms as you. We see the same
exact same
content as
platforms.
you.
Right.
It's like, we're not getting old. You guys just need to invent more creative slang. Thank you. Next. Anyway. So, yeah, that's number 3. Gen Alpha, love y'all. Also, you scare me. And finally, number 4.
Number 4.
Libby, let me hear it from you.
I think this is maybe a tip for this is maybe a tip for anyone else.
A tip and trick for all listening.
If you are hearing too many skibbity toilets,
If you're hearing too many phantom taxes.
just hit them with touch grass.
Yeah. That's
Go
my
touch
favorite.
grass.
Here you go, Chris. New slang today that we're teaching
New slang
you.
just dropped.
Touch grass.
Touch grass. Go touch
This
grass.
is for when you are chronically online, so to the point where you're so embedded in it that you have lost the plot of reality. It's like, hey, dude, go touch grass.
Yes.
Connect with nature. Be in nature. Be in the elements. Like, take it in. Because I cannot deal with, I mean, it's everything. It's not only slang, but it's like cancel culture has gotten out of control.
Yeah.
There are a lot of times where it's necessary. There
Yeah.
are many, many, many
Hold
where
people
it's
accountable. That's
not. Hold
not
people
what we're
accountable, right.
saying. But
Cancel culture as a whole should be canceled, period. I'm just saying.
yeah.
However, it's so frustrating when I keep seeing people who just do not have any sort of grasp on reality. And I think
Yeah.
a lot of that comes from the iPad baby generations, like ours and like Gen Alpha. It is nerve-wracking a little bit. So I would encourage everyone.
So invested.
Everyone is so invested.
But
in things that truly on our little floating rock
Yes.
do not matter. So
let's
it's
see
like,
the bigger
hey,
picture.
let's
get back to the plot.
Find the plot.
Let's go touch some
grass. And thank you for coming to our TED Talk. Those are our 4 main pet peeves at the moment, in no particular order of importance. But we appreciate you hearing us out on these.
Yes. Thank you.
And now we've kept you waiting long enough, y'all. I know
We
you're
know.
excited.
We know.
We know what you're here for. It is time for the Roman Empire.
Roman Empire. We really need a Roman Empire jingle.
All right, Libs, you want to kick it off today?
Yes. Okay. Switching it up a bit. My Roman Empire today is Sol de Janeiro, number 40.
So true, babe. She's in her scent era.
Yeah, I'm really starting my fragrance journey. I'm having a lot of fun with it.
I'm obsessed with that for you.
I knew the day would come for me eventually, but like I'm really invested now. And Sol de Janeiro, number 40, it's so tasty. It smells so good.
It's so tasty. Don't worry, guys. She's not
No,
drinking it. It's all
but
right.
it's just scrumptious.
Yeah.
Black amber plum, vanilla woods, jasmine bloom, all the notes.
I sit next to Libby every day. I can tell y'all she smells great. So I would take some fragrance advice from this one if I were you. But I love that. I need to get on my fragrance journey, I think.
It's really fun, and
Yeah.
I just love it. It's like a little treat every day to just.
I'm kind of sick of just
Smells so
buying like the
good.
drugstore like cheapy perfume. Like I need to invest in something that's going to be like my scent.
Right.
TM. Like,
Yeah, I don't think I'm there yet. I know there's like the perfume world is kind of crazy, and it gets really in depth, and there's a lot more maybe underground perfumes that I'm like getting
Right.
towards. I know Sol de Janeiro is kind of the big one right now, but it's a great start.
I
and
wonder,
it's a lot of fun.
You know how they have like those candle making places where you can like design your own
Yeah.
fragrance? Do they have that with perfume?
I think so. That would be so fun.
That would be so
I
fun.
feel like I've heard of that.
A Toledo business that we do not have that we need. So if
Are we
anyone
starting
listening is
it?
inspired. Oh, wait, yeah. Why? Okay, guys, don't actually start it. Me and Libby are going to do it. Okay. Okay, don't take that idea. Scratch that. All right, well, that's a great one. I love that. Fragrance Journey,
Thanks.
keep us posted.
Okay, well, what's yours?
Well, mine is kind of going back to our topic of the day, which is like Gen Z, Gen Alpha issues, whatever.
Okay.
So my Roman Empire is dating culture in Gen Z.
Oh.
Because, man, let me tell you, there are a lot of reasons that I'm grateful to be living in the literal future. We have such great technology. We have more rights than people did back in the day. One thing that I do miss from back in the day, handwritten letters, courting, flowers, nice things, things that were traditions that should, I mean, I literally
steady.
No, literally. Like who wants to go steady? Like, let's be so real. Because I honestly, I'm not trying to sound like, one of those like little traditional like boomer purists or whatever, but it's like, hey dude, like it's not great for me. It's not working for me when you're just messaging me and being like, oh, what's your snap? Or like, the whole like, I mean, even deeper than that, it makes you feel kind of like you are an item rather than a person who should be appreciated.
Right.
Yeah, it's just objectification of people because I mean, the swiping left, swiping right, it's like you are taking one glance at a person, you know nothing about them, and immediately it's just like writing them off.
Right.
And it's like, on the one hand, I know a lot of success stories from dating apps. I'm not knocking dating apps, trust me. Like, I think...
I was going to say, I'm one.
Yeah, I know you are one. Libby's case in point. She has a great success story from a dating app.
But for all the time before that,
right.
one success story, there are tons of horror stories.
Right. For every one, there's like 30 horrible stories.
Absolute horror stories.
And it's learning the culture and the nuance of it too, which is really stressful. Like, which date, like, is one dating app just for hookups, or is one dating app like for more serious relationships? Or, how do I know which is more women friendly, which is queer friendly? Like, it's hard.
He'll kill me for talking about this, but I have a 16-year-old little brother, and then like my mom will try and like check in on his relationship, and then she comes to me like, is everything okay, do you think? And I'm like, I can't even begin to explain to you the nuance of like dating culture. And then to add on, there's like stuff that I don't even understand anymore. So it's like,
more to the point, then when you start to like date somebody, or in our culture, like you're talking in the talking phase, it's like, the practices of how often do I text them? Should I turn my read receipts on?
Right.
How often should I Snapchat them? If they waited 5 hours to Snapchat me, should I wait 10 to Snapchat them back?
Game.
It's a game, and it shouldn't be. It should just be about people who enjoy each other's company, who want to be together, and instead it has become weirdly like a chessboard that I don't want to be a part of. Like, I'm not trying to play this game. I just, want to like hug and kiss, I guess. Like, I'm just trying to be happy.
Be wholesome.
Yeah.
And just enjoy each other's presence.
Right. And I'm not knocking, like, I believe in everybody's right to move as quickly or as slowly as they want in a relationship and do all those things. And, people start relationships in unorthodox ways or whatever. But still, I think it is definitely something to think about, where you don't necessarily have to play the game. Yeah. Sometimes you can just be straightforward with people and it'll work better.
Yeah, and I feel like you pour all your energy into playing the game, figuring out the chessboard, and then it's just like, what did you get in return?
Right. Nothing. Right. What did you get? Because if you really can't trust somebody enough to double text them or to Snapchat them immediately after they Snapchat you,
it's just
why would you want to date them anyway?
It's not the right one.
Right. I agree. So anyway, sorry, hopping off my soapbox. I'm done now. But, well, Libby, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah. Thanks for joining me. Thanks
for
having me.
So happy to have been a guest on On the Come Up today.
To us, yeah.
Yeah, and Gen Zers, once again, we love you. Just be smart, be mindful, be media literate, and take care of your own mental health.
Well, thank you so much for listening to us yap today. We're your hosts and producers, Libby and Riley, and our executive producer is Chris Piper.
If you have any questions, comments, or you just want to listen to us yap again, go to wgte.org/comeup or wherever you stream your podcasts. Bye, besties!
WGTE. Voices around us.
WGTE is supported in part by the American Rescue Plan Act funds allocated by the City of Toledo and the Lucas County Commissioners and administered by the Arts Commission.